4 bases-loaded walks yesterday from the Georgia pitching staff. There really isn't anything that's less sexy in scoring a run than on a bases-loaded walk. And but hey, a run is a run, an RBI is an RBI, and nobody's gonna say no, thank you, sir. I don't want that run batted in. Especially if that person is Bubba Carpenter, my partner for all the Arkansas baseball games, who joins us here. And Bubba, did you have a sense watching last night that one team showed up to play baseball and another team showed up just kind of wearing a uniform?
Well, I tell you, that's the worst highlight you've ever played, Phil. That was kind of dull and boring. But hey, I tell you what, a run's a run, right?
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Georgia looked like they kind of expected the outcome from yesterday, which really, when you come to Hoover, there are some games that you sort of go in knowing your pitching situation. You're like, I don't think this is our day today. I think Georgia came in yesterday thinking that.
I think you're right, Phil. I think they kind of knew coming in, and you kind of felt bad for a couple of guys they put out there on the mound that, thrown 2 innings on the year. They're kind of the sacrificial lamb. They're going out there and they've got to face the number 1 team in the nation. And they were just kind of out there on an island, and they just, they were struggling with those strikes. And a lot of times I jokingly say, hey, the Razorback hitters kind of scare the guy out of the strike zone. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that was the case last night. I think they were really trying to throw strikes and just couldn't find it. And, you feel bad for them, sort of. But then, maybe they should have signed with the Razorbacks, right?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Lyle Lockhart yesterday. Is this now good? You think this is going to be one of the dudes in the postseason? I mean, if you know what your lineup looks like, and we'll get into Brady Slavens in a minute. The pitching staff, though, this year, it's all the talk about Patrick Wicklander, Kevin Kopps. You kind of forget about everybody else sometimes. Is Lyle Lockhart potentially one of the dudes in the NCAA postseason?
Well, he looked like it last night. And, Phil, do you remember in the fall where you and I did the World Series and Lyle Lockhart was the Fall World Series and Lyle was pitching for the Red, whichever team he was pitching for, and KCO pitched behind the plate. And you and I, we marveled at how he was just carving up Razorback hitters. And, we talked about it on the air way back then, how special a combination that is. Opitz calling pitches and Lyle Lockhart pitching and hitting those spots just because he's got so many different weapons. And you saw it all last night. I mean, he had everything going last night. I did watch his post-game interview, and he said that, and we talked about it before the game, he actually had to jog from the bullpen down because they were rushing him. He felt like he didn't get his full bullpen, his warm-up routine in. And he said that he wasn't good the first couple of innings, but I thought he was really good. And so I don't know what he's talking about, but it did take him a little bit to really get that slider going, but I thought he was pretty good from the start. And, he 4 or 5 pitches he can throw for strikes. He worked both sides of the plate. He even ran some fastballs up at the top of the zone, which I think is really important with him to go with that one-seam fastball. So he really did look like the dude last night.
Everybody wants like an update about Brady Slavens. I mean, there really isn't one other than they're going to treat his ankle as aggressively as possible. I don't see any way that he plays for the rest of this tournament. But it's all a matter of maybe how quickly he heals or how quick of a healer he is or just how nasty of a sprain that is. But without Brady Slavens in the lineup, Bubba, what do you see them losing without Slavens in the lineup, and where is there a possibility to maybe pick up that slack?
Well, I don't think we lose a lot defensively, Phil, because, you throw Colin Smith over there at first base, and he's going to do a good job. Colin's just a baseball player. He can play anywhere. You've got Nesbitt at third, and defensively one of the best in the nation. But where you lose out, boy, is Brady's bat in the middle of that lineup. I mean, that's a big hit. And, he's leading the team in RBIs, which, for me, an RBI is it's a team stat. Everyone puts emphasis on, he's leading the team in RBIs, a big RBI guy. Well, that's kind of a product of your lineup and where you hit in the lineup. If Brady was hitting ninth, he wouldn't be leading the team in RBIs. You could throw someone else in that 4 slot, and with all the runners on base in front of them, they're going to have a lot of RBIs. So, but it is still a big hit, and I really hate it because I would love to see him and Kumar Rocker matched up against each other tonight. I think that'd be a really good matchup. And, hopefully he'd get that thing healed up, maybe rub some of that Barry Bonds stuff on it and get back in the game here in next weekend.
Bubba Carpenter joining us here on halftime, and I want to ask this to both of you because I heard this on the broadcast last night and Phil alluded to it earlier, like maybe the first base bag was a little slippery from being watered down or everything like that. And they mentioned, I think it might have been Kyle Peterson mentioned it on the television broadcast, going to a rougher bag or something like that. I mean, is that something for both of you? I mean, is that something that the SEC may need to look into to limit? I don't know how common these ankle injuries are. And it may be more of a freak deal, but is that something they should look into?
Well, I tell you, I see more guys get hurt going into bases. Now, a lot of times guys get hurt because they go into second base standing up or third base standing up, and they hit the base hard, or at the last minute they decide, I'm going to try to slide. And you see knee injuries and ankle injuries a lot. More on the youth side, the high school side. But, yeah, you could see last night, plain as day, when Brady's foot hit the base, and Bill talked about it in the broadcast last night, his foot slid down the base and then rolled over. And so, I'm not one of those, you gotta pamper these guys and do stuff. But if there's obviously something, if there's an issue, it needs to be addressed because, I mean, you do see a lot of injuries, especially at first base. Now, a lot of them are collision, colliding with the first base. I've got a scar on my lip from where I got hit by a runner playing first base. He was running down the first baseline. The throw took me into the line, and we collided. But, I mean, those things are going to happen. But the base, yeah, there needs to be something done different. And I will tell you, the field was soaked last night. I mean, it was wet before the game. It stayed wet the whole game. And so if the dirt around the base is that wet, the base is going to be wet because guys are stomping on it. So, kind of a long-winded answer, but absolutely, I think something needs to be done.
Be interested to kind of see how this thing goes out. All right, want to look at Bubba, just Arkansas Vandy a little bit tonight, and I brought it up earlier in the program. I feel like that Arkansas, I mean, obviously they're going to come in laser focused. They did last night. They'll do it again tonight. But, Bubba, this is the matchup that all the SEC fans, all of us media guys, you included, we've wanted to see what Arkansas and Vanderbilt would look like. And I feel like this Razorback team is going to come in, obviously laser focused, but maybe even more with a little bit of pep in your step for playing presumably the number 2 team in the country coming out of the SEC.
I think so. I think everyone, I think the fans and the media probably are more excited about it than the Razorbacks. I hate to say that, but to the Razorbacks, it's just another game. They don't care who they're playing. They're going to play hard. I think this game probably means more to Vanderbilt because, they've been kind of chasing us most of the year as the number 1 team. So I think they've got a little bit more to prove than we do. Unfortunately, I don't think this game's going to be – I mean, we're going to go out. We're going to throw Patrick Wicklander. I'm sure if there's a chance to use Cops late in the game, we will, but it won't be a situation where we use them 2 or 3 innings. So I don't think we're all 100% in on this game. We're going to do what we have to do to compete. But when it comes down to it, if it's a close game at the end, I think Cops will throw 1 inning, and unless it's a really quick inning, he's out of there, and they'll go with someone else. I think McDade's going to manage it a little bit different, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm super excited about it last night. I stayed up watching that game. I was so glad Ole Miss didn't win that game last night. I don't even know what time it ended, and I don't know if you stayed up that long, Phil, but it was around 1 a.m., I guess, when it finally ended. But it was good to see. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm excited to see Kumar Rocker. And, Vandy's got a great lineup, runs 1 through 9. They're a fun lineup to watch play. And it's going to be fun to watch Wicklander attack those guys.
No, Bubba, my eyelids were heavy from carrying the baseball broadcast by myself pretty much last night, so I couldn't make it through the 6th inning.
Oh, my goodness.
My apologies. I'll see what I can do about that tonight. Yeah. Bubba's got a connection. Bubba's got a connection to Kumar Rocker. He knows the Rocker family well. In fact, he gave Kumar some baseball lessons back in the day, right, Bubba?
You know what? I'd like to say I got him on the right path. When he was 9 years old, I did some pitching lessons with him. When Tracy Rocker was on staff with the U of A football staff. And so, yeah, I can take a little bit of credit for Kumar. Without me, he might have gone into football or something else. You never know. But he was a good kid back then. I loved the family. They're great people. I actually saw the mom Lou last night walk down below this booth, and I really wanted to give her a holler out last night. I didn't get a chance to see her, but hey, he's a good kid. He works hard, but boy, when he gets on the mound, he's a competitor. And so it's going to be fun tonight. But sort of jokingly, yeah, I got him on the right path. Let's just say that.
Hey, last thing I want to touch on with you, because I think you might come from a different perspective than a lot of us who will say that this tournament doesn't mean anything. Why are you even playing the tournament? Teams ought to be able to opt out and all that stuff. And there is truth to the idea that this tournament doesn't mean very much to a good chunk of the teams that are here because they already feel they've got their seating set for the tournament. Fans like to come here and watch the games. Other fans say, I don't want anything to do with Hoover. You know who comes here? Scouts. I think there are more scouts at this tournament than any other conference tournament in baseball. And so it's almost like, I don't know if you'd put it in these terms, but like a service for all of the players to be at this centralized location being viewed in game situations by scouts that can't, get a chance to see all of these players in person just because of a limited amount of time. Is that a reason that you think that this tournament is even played where like the Pac-12, the Big Ten are not doing tournaments now?
It is, Bill. That's a great point. And I kind of compare it to like showcase baseball for high school kids during the summer. College coaches can't go watch a lot of high school games because they're busy playing. So during the summer, we play showcase events. And we'll play an event in like a 5-tool event at TCU during the summer or at Baum Walker with my older team. And there'll be colleges everywhere, especially when you go to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You'll see almost every SEC school walking around scouting players because they're all in one area. And that's kind of the way it is for professional scouts here at the SEC tournament. And you could see them all over last night. When we were here in 2019, I don't know if you remember, Phil, but Derek Jeter was here, Posada, Gary Dibble, all the Marlins front office guys were all here watching. The left-handed hitter, Bleday. What was the guy's name from Vanderbilt 2 years ago? The left-handed hitter.
Bleday, J.J. Bleday.
Yeah, great hitter. They were all here scouting him, and, he had a really good night and ended up going high in the draft. But, yeah, for scouts, it's a dream. If you're just a baseball fan, to be honest with you, there's more talent here than there is in the College World Series. If you're just a pure baseball fan, if you look at the talent out on the field, it's ridiculous. And I know Dave got asked in one of his interviews, why haven't, we have more success here, or why haven't we ever won one? And Dave just kind of jokingly said, because the teams are really good. Now, for some teams, it means more than others. Obviously, for us, I mean, I would think we're locked in as a 1 seed. Vandy's in a good spot. Certain schools are in a good spot, but if you're a team like an Alabama, boy, you're down here playing for seeding. I mean, you're playing, to get a good bid in the NCAA tournament, and so it means a lot to a lot of the teams. We're just kind of spoiled because as Razorback fans, it really doesn't mean that much to us, where a lot of teams, it really means a lot to come down here and have a good showing.
Well, I think we're going to see a great game tonight, Bubba. I'll see you at the Hoover Met later on, and if you need a ride to the ballpark, you just let me know, okay?
Okay, Daddy Phil. I appreciate it. Hey, I did appreciate the ride home last night, though. So,
anytime.
Hey, Bubba, don't let Phil carry the broadcast. You can easily hold your own over Phil, my friend.
I was joking. He carried the broadcast.
I tell you what, Phil's the man. I'm just the man next to the man. He's I know my place up there in the booth. And by the way, these booths are tiny, so yeah. I still have my one little section. I barely have room to stand up in the booth, but it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to tonight. Take you a nap, Phil, so you're ready to go. I want your A game. I'll bring you a Red Bull, and let's go get them tonight.
Well, guess what I'm going to do in the next segment? We got about 18 seconds left here. I'm going to take a nap in the next segment, just like my Pittsburgh Pirates are going to do for the rest of the Major League Baseball season, and halftime wraps up after this.